a flame that ignited the storm. The Galactic Council chamber was silent, not with reverence, nor with respect, but with the kind of silence that spoke of unchallenged authority. The kind of silence that came when an empire believed itself invincible. Ambassador Elias Carter stood in the center of the Grand Assembly, his hands bound by shimmering energy restraints. He was human, an anomaly in this vast hall of towering, multi-limbed, scaled, and tentacled alien dignitaries. The eyes of dozens of species were upon him, cold and calculating. Above him, a holographic display flickered, showcasing the charges against him, defiance against the Galactic Order. The words pulsed in ominous crimson light. Chancellor Vortal, a member of the Zelvery species with a reptilian face and obsidian black eyes, leaned forward from his elevated podium. Ambassador Carter, you stand accused of violating the will of the Galactic Council. Humanity has refused integration into our order. Your worlds remain independent. This defiance will not stand. Elias met Vortal's gaze without flinching. You mean we refuse to kneel? Humanity will not surrender its sovereignty to a council that acts like an empire but pretends to be a democracy. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Few had ever spoken back to the council with such audacity. Vortal's thin lips curled into something resembling a smile. Such arrogance. We have tolerated your kind for long enough. But as all lesser species must learn, there is only one law in this galaxy, our law. Elias exhaled slowly. He had known this was a possibility when he accepted the assignment. Diplomacy was a dangerous game, especially in a galaxy where power dictated morality. He had come in good faith, but the Council had already made its decision. Humanity will never bow, Elias said. His voice was even, but it carried weight. You think this show trial scares us? You think? The energy restraints around his wrists suddenly tightened, sending a painful jolt through his body. He clenched his teeth, refusing to give them the satisfaction of a scream. Vortal gestured, and the restraints eased. Enough. The Council has deliberated. Your sentence is death. The murmurs became an uproar. Even some of the Council members looked uneasy. This was unprecedented. Even among the species the Council had subjugated, public executions of diplomats were rare. Elias swallowed hard. He had prepared for many things, but not this. He glanced at the camera drones hovering above, broadcasting the trial across the galaxy. Billions were watching. Humanity will remember this, he said. His voice, though weary, was filled with unshakable resolve. Vortal sneered. Let them. Two hulking reptilian guards seized Elias and dragged him toward the execution chamber. The Council had chosen fire, symbolic, primitive, and cruel. As he was strapped to the pyre, Elias lifted his head one last time, staring into the recording drones. His voice rang out, calm and unwavering. Remember us. Show them who we are. The flames roared to life. Earth, United Nations Stellar Command Headquarters. When the footage reached Earth, the world stood still. The video spread like wildfire across human colonies and space stations. Inside the war room of the United Nations Stellar Command, UNSC, the highest-ranking leaders of humanity sat in heavy silence. The execution played on a loop before them. None spoke. Then, Supreme Commander Evelyn Ward stood. Her voice was cold as steel. Enough. The video shut off. Status report, she said. A nearby admiral hesitated. All fleets are at standard readiness, but... Ward cut him off. Mobilize every fleet, every battalion, every asset we have. The officers exchanged glances. Are we declaring war? Ward's eyes were like ice. No. War implies negotiation. She turned to the assembled officers, her voice carrying the weight of a species wronged. We are erasing the Galactic Council from existence. For a brief moment, silence filled the room. Then, across Earth, the signal went out. Factories shifted to wartime production. Reservists were activated. Weapons that had never before been deployed were prepared. The gears of total war had begun turning, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming. The wrath of humanity. The message had been sent. Across Earth and its colonies, a single broadcast looped endlessly, The execution of Ambassador Elias Carter. Billions of humans watched in stunned silence as the flames consumed their representative. Some wept, some raged, others sat in quiet, seething fury. But one thing united them all. This would not stand. The Galactic Council had made a fatal miscalculation. They had believed humanity was like any other species they had conquered, fractured, unwilling, or unable to retaliate. They expected submission. They expected fey. Instead, they got war. United Nations Stellar Command, UNSC, War Room, Earth. Supreme Commander Evelyn Ward stood at the center of the war room, surrounded by military leaders, intelligence officers, and political figures. Holographic displays flickered with real-time updates from across human space. Fleet movements, logistical reports, and mobilization efforts scrolled endlessly. All planetary governors have approved full wartime production, an officer reported. Military assets are being transferred to forward positions. Ward nodded. Casualty projections. General Marcus Hale, the head of Earth Ground Forces, exhaled slowly. Heavy, but acceptable. Ward's eyes narrowed. Define acceptable. Hale's jaw tightened. We estimate that taking down the Galactic Council's forces will cost us 20 to 30% of our fleet. The room was silent. No one flinched. Understood, Ward said, but we won't stop at their fleets. She turned to Admiral Rebecca Zhao, commander of the UNSC Navy. Targets. Zhao's fingers danced over her console, and a massive star map appeared above the table. Red markers highlighted the key strongholds of the Galactic Council. The Council controls 80% of the known galaxy. Their military command is centered on Xerxes Prime, a heavily fortified system. If we take it, the Council collapses. What's our window? Ward asked. Zhao's expression was grim. The Council won't expect an immediate response, but they'll mobilize fast. We have 1 week before they are fully prepared. Ward turned to General Hale. Can your ground forces be ready? We're already moving, Hale replied. Special forces are being deployed to Council-controlled worlds to destabilize them before our main invasion. Ward exhaled. Then it begins. She turned back to the room. We're not negotiating. We're not just waging war. We are annihilating them. A heavy silence filled the war room. No one spoke. There was no need. The order had been given. Aboard the UNSC warship Retribution, Captain Darius Cole stood on the bridge of his warship, watching as the fleet assembled. Hundreds of ships, from nimble corvettes to massive dreadnoughts, hovered in formation above Earth's atmosphere. More were arriving by the minute, jumping in from human colonies across space. This is the largest fleet ever assembled, his first officer, Lieutenant Sarah Vance, whispered. Cole nodded. And it won't be enough. The bridge crew fell silent at his words. We're fighting an enemy that's ruled the galaxy for centuries, he continued. They have more ships, more soldiers, and more resources than us. He turned, his gaze locking onto each of his officers. But they don't have what we have. Vance straightened. And what's that, sir? Cole's expression was cold and determined. Rage. At that moment, the comms crackled to life. Supreme Commander Ward's voice echoed through every ship in the fleet. This is UNSC Command. All units, prepare for jump. We strike first, and we strike hard. No mercy. Cole turned to his crew. You heard the order. Battle stations. Alarms blared. The fleet's engines roared to life. The countdown began, and with a blinding flash of light, humanity's armada disappeared into hyperspace. Galactic Council capital, Xerxes Prime. Chancellor Vortal stood on his private balcony, gazing at the stars. Below him, the city of High Nexus sprawled across the planet, its towering spires glowing under the light of twin moons. He was unbothered. The execution of the human diplomat had been necessary. The council had to send a message. Defiance would not be tolerated. A knock at the door. Enter, Vortal said. An aide rushed in, his scales pale with fear. Chancellor, we have a problem. Vortal frowned. Speak. The humans, they are coming. Vortal's eyes narrowed. A diplomatic protest. The aide shook his head. No, Chancellor. He swallowed hard. The entire fleet is coming. For the first time in centuries, fear gripped Vortal's cold heart. Humanity wasn't sending diplomats. They were sending death. The final hours before impact. As the human fleet approached Xerxes Prime, thousands of council ships scrambled to intercept them. The galaxy had never seen such a coordinated response. But it wouldn't be enough. The council had made a mistake. They thought they were the predators. They were about to learn that humans were something else entirely. Something far worse. The fall of Xerxes Prime. The moment humanity's fleet emerged from hyperspace, the battle began. Thousands of warships, ranging from nimble Earth corvettes to towering dreadnoughts, exploded into real space above Xerxes Prime, the seat of the Galactic Council's power. The planet below was a glittering jewel of spires and lights, a testament to the wealth and dominance of the ruling alien empire. It was about to be reduced to ashes. Aboard UNSC Retribution, Captain Darius Cole gripped the command console as his flagship led the charge. The bridge was alive with flashing displays, the steady hum of power cores, and the sharp voices of officers relaying orders. All ships, form battle formations, Cole ordered. We're not here to test defenses, we're here to break them. Before them, the Galactic Council's fleet scrambled into a defensive line. The Council's warships were larger, more heavily armed, and outnumbered humanity's forces 3-1. But they were unprepared. Enemy fleet is forming up, Lieutenant Sarah Vance reported. Their Central Command ship is broadcasting demands for our immediate surrender. Cole chuckled darkly. Send them a reply. Vance smirked. Which one? Cole's eyes locked onto the massive alien dreadnought in the center of the enemy formation. The kind that explodes. The Retribution's forward batteries roared to life. A barrage of plasma rail slugs tore through the void, slamming into the alien flagship shields. Across the fleet, other human ships followed suit, unleashing missiles, kinetic rounds, and energy weapons in a synchronized blitzkrieg. The Galactic Council's forces reeled. They had expected a fight. They had not expected hell. Xerxes Prime, Council War Room. Chancellor Vortal stood at the center of a massive war table, watching the battle unfold in real time. Holograms flickered and distorted as human weapons shattered his fleets. This is impossible, General Kravox hissed, his mandibles clicking in disbelief. They are primitive. How are they doing this? Vortal was silent. He could see it now, the difference between human warfare and the Council's doctrine. The Council fought with discipline, using formations and established protocols. Humans fought with ferocity. They didn't just disable ships, they tore through them. They didn't just counter defenses, they overwhelmed them. They fought like a species that had clawed its way up from the dead, through ice ages, through world wars, through nuclear devastation, surviving by sheer determination. They fought like a species that never accepted defeat. An alert flashed across the war table. Enemy ground forces inbound. Vortal's blood ran cold. Drop pods over Xerxes Prime. From orbit, hundreds of drop pods ignited their thrusters, plunging through the planet's atmosphere. Inside, humanity's most lethal soldiers, the 3rd Orbital Shock Division, braced themselves. Sergeant Alex Rourke tightened his grip on his rifle as his pod rattled violently. The heat from atmospheric entry made the metal glow, but Rourke barely noticed. His eyes were locked on his squad. They all knew why they were here. They had watched Elias Carter burn, and now they were about to return the favor. Touchdown in 5. The pilot's voice crackled over comms. Rourke looked at his squad. You know the plan. No mercy. We hit their military headquarters first. Any council forces in our way. We erase them, one of his soldiers growled. Rourke grinned. Damn right. The drop pod slammed into the streets of High Nexus, cratering pavement and sending shockwave through the alien capital. Before the dust had even settled, human soldiers stormed out, weapons blazing. The city erupted into chaos. Council soldiers scrambled to mount a defense, but they were trained for orderly battles, for honored duels, for negotiated surrenders. They were not trained to handle humans who fought like demons. Plasma bolts burned through alien warriors as Rourke's unit advanced. Explosions ripped through buildings. The air was thick with smoke, screams, and the thunderous echoes of vengeance. The human army had one mission: make the Galactic Council pay. Council Palace, last stand. Chancellor Vortal watched the footage in horror. His once mighty capital was burning. The sky was filled with the wreckage of his fleet. Streets that had never seen battle were littered with bodies. And then he heard it, a deep, inhuman roar that sent chills down his spine. He turned toward the grand entrance of the palace just in time to see the massive doors explode inward. A squad of humans stormed inside, led by a towering soldier in battered armor, his eyes burning with fury. Sergeant Rourke. Vortal stumbled back. You don't have to do this. We can negotiate. Rourke raised his rifle. You didn't negotiate when you burned Carter alive. Vortal's hands trembled. Please, this is madness. We can reach an agreement. Rourke fired. One shot. The Chancellor of the Galactic Council fell. A stunned silence filled the room. The war was over, and humanity had won. Aftermath. The fires of Xerxes Prime burned for days. The surviving Council forces surrendered unconditionally. Humanity had done what no other species had dared to attempt. They had broken the Galactic Council. And now, standing amidst the ruins, the soldiers of Earth knew one thing for certain. No one would ever underestimate humanity again. Humanity's final message. The war was over. The Galactic Council had fallen, its fleets shattered, its armies decimated, and its leaders executed or captured. Xerxes Prime, once the seat of power for a 1,000-year-old empire, lay in ruins, a smoldering testament to humanity's wrath. But Earth wasn't done yet. They had come not only to win, but to ensure that no one would ever forget what happened when humanity was wronged. Now, it was time to send a message. Council Hall, the new seat of power. Sergeant Alex Rourke stood at the top of the palace steps, his battle-scarred armor covered in dirt, blood, and the soot of war. Behind him, the banners of the Galactic Council had been torn down, replaced with the flag of the Terran Dominion, humanity's new place among the stars. Before him, thousands of alien dignitaries, generals, and surviving officials had been rounded up into the Council Plaza. Some were wounded, others exhausted, all of them afraid. A towering display screen flickered to life above them, broadcasting the trial of the century across every remaining Galactic Council world. A single figure sat at the center of the screen, his face bruised, his robes torn. Grand Vizier Kael'Rath, the last surviving high-ranking member of the Galactic Council. Across the plaza, murmurs of disbelief rippled through the captive aliens. The Grand Vizier, the most powerful voice in the council aside from the fallen Chancellor himself, was now a prisoner of war. The camera zoomed in on Kael'Rath's face. His mandibles quivered with barely concealed rage, but his eyes betrayed something deeper. Fear. A voice crackled over the speakers. This tribunal is now in session. The charges are as follows: war crimes against the people of Earth, the unlawful execution of Ambassador Elias Carter, and the attempted extermination of humanity. Rourke listened as Admiral James Harper, one of the highest-ranking officers in the Terran Dominion, listed every atrocity committed by the Galactic Council against humanity. The list was long, each crime punctuated by footage of burning human cities, massacred colonies, and Carter's horrific execution. By the time Harper was finished, the plaza was silent. Kael'Rath finally spoke, his voice hoarse but defiant. You think this will change anything? You humans believe you are victorious, but you are still insects among giants. We may have lost this battle, but... Harper cut him off. No, you didn't lose a battle. He leaned in, his next words cold as steel. You lost the war. Kael'Rath bared his teeth. And what will you do now? Kill me? Make me a martyr? Harper smirked. Oh, no. Killing you would be too easy. He turned toward the camera. The Terran Dominion does not seek vengeance. Then he paused, letting the moment linger, letting the universe hold its breath. But we do believe in justice. Harper looked directly at Kael'Rath. Your empire is gone. Your armies are broken. Your fleets have been reduced to wreckage. And from this day forward, the Galactic Council no longer exists. The plaza erupted in whispers. Kael'Rath stiffened. You can't. "Oh, we can," Harper said. "And we have." The display behind him shifted, revealing a new galactic charter, signed and sealed by Earth's leaders and the surviving independent planets. "The Terran Dominion is now the governing force in this region of space," Harper declared. "Every surviving world will have a choice. Join us in peace, or be left to rot in the ashes of the old council." The implications were clear. Earth wasn't just conquering. They were rewriting history. Xerxes Prime, the final strike. Kael'Rath trembled. "You think you can hold this empire together, that others won't rise up against you?" Harper simply smiled. "We're not here to hold your empire together," he said. "We're here to burn away the rot." At that moment, a final command was sent through Earth's fleet. Across every surviving Galactic Council world, orbital weapons platforms activated. The last remnants of Council-controlled military bases, shipyards, and weapons depots were systematically obliterated. It wasn't genocide. It wasn't reckless destruction. It was surgical. Earth wasn't here to enslave. They were here to ensure that the Galactic Council could never rise again. A new order. As the smoke cleared, Rourke turned his gaze to the thousands of surviving alien leaders before him. He raised his rifle, then spoke two words that would be remembered across the galaxy for generations. "Kneel, now." Slowly, one by one, the former rulers of the galaxy dropped to their knees. Some in fear, some in defiance, but all of them understanding the truth. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The age of humanity had begun. Final broadcast. The last transmission from Xerxes Prime was simple. It wasn't a declaration of war. It wasn't a demand for surrender. It was a warning. A message sent to every world that still drew breath after the fires of war had settled. A message that no one would ever forget. Earth is not to be provoked. Ever again. And across the stars, every remaining empire, every surviving species, every ambitious warlord understood. Humanity wasn't just another player in the galactic arena anymore. They were the arena itself, and they had just decided who was allowed to step inside.